is going on, everyone? So today I have the pleasure of interviewing someone I've been following for quite some time now. He sells anywhere between $500,000 to $100,000 a month through Amazon FBA. In addition to that, he's a great follow on social, always posting helpful content on Instagram and YouTube at Side Hustle Experiment. John, welcome, man. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, like I said, I've been following you for I think over a year now, and I've already seen a couple of your interviews. So just kind of pretty excited to be able to pick your brain for my audience as well.
No, yeah, it's awesome, and I've been following you as well, so it's great to connect.
Yeah. Like I said, on Instagram, you always post some really solid advice. I don't know how you have the time to post so much. I really envy you. I'm like, golly, it's always inspiring me to post content too. Because if I go a couple days without posting anything, I see you got to post. I'm like, golly.
I do wonder sometimes. I joke and say the content is definitely harder than the Amazon, for sure. My goal is just to do get one post a day, and that's kind of how it grew so quickly. It was just whatever it is. Even I think there was one day it was just I don't know, and I just posted some quote or something. I literally copied someone else's post and was like, yeah, it's one of my favorite quotes, just to keep the momentum going.
Get something going.
I missed maybe one or a couple. Instagram's usually pretty consistent. YouTube, it's harder to be. Yeah. I try to get out at least 2 videos a week.
Yeah, YouTube is just it requires so much more energy and time, and just a whole bunch of more moving parts. And Instagram, even some Instagram reels, man, one doesn't realize how much time it takes to even create a simple just recording yourself kind of 90-second reel. Or maybe it's just I've gotten kind of lazier about it, but there's a lot of time that has to be involved even for those reels, So
for sure.
Major props to you. Okay, so first question I kind of wanted to know. I mean, again, I already kind of know, but what compelled you to start selling on Amazon, and were you already reselling on other platforms before Amazon?
So what compelled me? So I started actually selling furniture. So I was flipping furniture on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, OfferUp, Let Go, which I think was bought by one of them.
Yeah, 5 Mile or something.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. So I started that. I did that for about a year. Was able to make 20 grand.
As in flipping from garage sales, and then kind of
okay. Yeah, Facebook Marketplace. Someone had a table for $200. I'll give you $100 cash right now. Come pick it up. I had the whole spiel down, could you take the legs off? Put the screws in the bag, blah blah blah. And then I listed for $250, and it would sell for I don't know, within the week. Usually 2 or 3 days, and it was these are just tables, these pub tables. There's literally maybe 10 to 15 things I was looking for people. You find stuff out. We recently just moved, knowing what I know, and we just had to get rid of stuff. There just wasn't time. At a certain point, I mean, I run a big Amazon business, right? It's just not worth the time to get $20 for the chair. It's just
it's not
possible. Yeah. I'd rather just give it away to someone who needs it. So I started doing that, and I'm originally from New York, so I went home for Christmas, and people were like, "Hey, can we get this table? Can we do this?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be back in a week," and they're like, "Nah, we need it now. We want it now." And they all bought other stuff that was on Marketplace. So I was like, "Damn, I need something that I could grow without me being there." It was kind of getting to, I was in a 1-bedroom apartment. I mean, it was to the max. There was probably at any given time 30 to 40 pieces of furniture in there. Just I sold my kitchen table. It was just literally in this one corner, and then to the side, it was. I've posted pictures once or twice, but it was absolutely packed. And then you could only get one table at a time, and it was oh, what are you gonna do with this, right? And it's very you have to be timely. So I'm working at a 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. I can't be come right now. You know what I mean? I've definitely did some had people meet me at work to buy stuff. I just put the table in my car and be like, yeah, meet me at work. I just run outside into the parking lot, give them the table and stuff.
Why do they need their table so quickly?
What'd you say?
Why do they need their tables and stuff that instant?
I think a lot of people are just like moving, and I
Mhm.
think there's just like this market where it's just like, I mean, we recently just moved, and it's like, oh, like you want to get situated. You're like, oh,
Right.
like we want to have
Yeah.
the stuff. Like we like, especially on marketplace. You're like, I don't know when another pub table is coming,
Right.
right? Like this is the one I want. Stores
Yeah.
don't have it. Like I need it now. And
Right.
like if someone's like, yeah, I'll come and get it now. You're like, okay, cool. And there's always like this dynamic you play. It's like, well, are they really coming? Because other people are messaging you. So it was basically like whoever comes first kind of gets it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so I started doing that, and then yeah, when I went home for Christmas, I was like, man, like this, I need something that like I don't have to like literally fulfill
Either.
everything.
Yeah.
And then so Reezy resells the video, and he's doing like scanning books in a thrift store. I was like, this sounds absolutely crazy. I was like, whatever, I have money. Like, I'll put, $1,000 into it, see like how it goes. Scanned the first couple books, and I was like, yeah, right. Like, this book is not going to sell for $40. I'm paying $2 for it. On the back of the book, the MSRP, I think, was like $25. I'm like, this really is a scam. But whatever. Like, I'll just follow the process. Like, I was so excited. I just sent 6 books
There
to
you go.
FBA. It probably took me like 3 or 4 hours just
Right.
to figure out like how to get labels and like get the
Right.
shipment in. Like it was an absolute nightmare. And then yeah, the 2 weeks later, like I was still like scanning a little, but I wasn't taking it seriously. And like a week
Mhm.
or two later, the first book sells. I'm like, damn, like this is
Yeah.
crazy. And
And then
then like the next
what
one sold.
ROI? Like you like tripled, quadrupled it too?
Yeah, yeah. So that book ended up selling for $40. I think it was like within 2 weeks. I was like,
Uh,
holy crap. So then
wow.
I was like, I went all in on kind of doing
The
books.
books. Okay.
Yeah, making book trips on the weekends. And I think I was just shy of like 70 grand in sales the first month. And the
Yeah.
second year, or first month, the first like half a year that I started FBA. Then the
Mhm.
second year, I was able to get to 100K in
Mhm.
sales. And this is just doing it like while doing 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like it always makes me funny. Like I feel like a lot of people like I don't have time, and I was
Yeah.
going to the thrift store at lunch, dude. Like at
Yeah.
lunch, like I was like going to the thrift store. Like I was even like legit like no one at my work was really like on Instagram. So like I'm
Uh,
trying to build the Instagram up. So like I'm like, damn, like I'm probably gonna get fired. Like so I
you
had
got
like
something to do.
stories of like, oh, I just found this book or whatever. So like I was just doing that, and then eventually I was able to like quit my job. Got a storage unit, started to do bulk, and eventually upgraded that to like a 4,500 square foot warehouse, the forklift, all the whole deal. Basically, COVID happened, and like basically almost destroyed the business
Oh,
because I had to merchant fill everything. There was
yeah.
storage limits, and yeah, I kind of came to the epiphany. I was like, oof, I need to relook. And then saw a lot of people doing online arbitrage. Basically, everyone I helped selling books was
Uh-huh.
doing online arbitrage now. And so they kind of helped me out, get started with that, and then eventually drop books. But we could get more into that. But that's kind of the whole story. And now everything's pretty much OA to prep.
Wow. Yeah, so you started with furniture, then you kind of moved on to books. It's kind of interesting. Like even when you're selling the furniture, kind of you don't really realize it. At least I didn't when I was reselling like shoes and stuff. That you're really into this like reselling, especially with furniture. Like you don't, I don't know how. In my mind, I'm just like, oh, I'm just buying this and flipping it and making some money. But you're like in this reselling niche that kind of take a step back and realize what happened. In hindsight now, but because I started selling shoes, and for me, it was just like, oh yeah, I'll just buy these shoes for retail. I know they're coming out, and I'll sell them for a little bit of money. But I didn't realize I was kind of entering in this like reselling world. And once you're in
Yeah.
the world, you find other things to resell. Because I went from shoes to then like consoles, and then now I'm here. And it just kind of
Yeah.
meander your way through. So for you, everyone has their own like different story. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and also to the books thing. So I was in college back in 2013 through 2018, and back in 2013, not a lot of people were, at least for me, I would ask people where they're renting their books, and a lot of people are just like eBay or they get it from the school. I would always go on Amazon because I could find those used like paperback books And
Oh,
sure,
okay.
yeah, because I knew, I don't know why, but like you can, at school, they'd always try to sell you like hard copy, and it's like really expensive, and they're
Yeah.
brand new. eBay was also kind of premium, and people are more familiar with it. But on Amazon, I always find these paperback books for a lot cheaper, albeit used. But I'm sure that person, now I'm thinking back, probably found it for like $5, and I was probably buying it for like $25. But in my eyes, I was saving like $200.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's
yeah.
crazy.
Anyways, awesome. So, when you were starting to sell onto the Amazon business and whatnot, how were you gaining your information? Because I know now you're kind of spitting more information, but earlier
Yeah.
on, how are you gaining this information?
So a lot of it was just through kind of YouTube videos. So a big part of for me, I think I did it in a good way where I only really watched like for the next step.
Okay.
So like when I watched the Reezy Resales video like scanning books. And I always think it's important because like I don't know if I would have started because if I saw the whole process of like, ooh, how
Right.
to list it, and then you have to like I just went out and bought books. Like I had no idea like how they were gonna get to Amazon or like
Yeah.
kind of what the next step was. Like he kind of went over it in the video, like, oh yeah, I send them there, but like saying like, oh, I send them there, then actually sending them there is like very different.
Right.
So yeah, I just would like kind of watch videos. I joined a couple book selling Facebook groups. Then eventually you just kind of I came across Caleb Roth, and I think Reezy Resells interviewed him, and then he had a Facebook group, and then you just kind of like start to like accumulate knowledge. Um, I feel like I didn't really ask that many questions in the group. It was more just like watching
Yeah.
videos. I'm a bigger person of like watch a video and then if you have a question, ask
Yeah.
it, and not kind of just be like. I never wanted him to be like, "Oh yeah, there's a video on my YouTube channel." I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, "Damn, like I totally missed
Yeah.
that." Like,
Yeah.
they definitely think I'm like lazy or something. So
Right.
that's kind of how I kind of went about it, and then the next progression step is like you network, like you watch someone's video, like, hey, that's a great video. Now you're in their DM, and then like you're like, hey, like I'm dealing with this. Have you ever dealt with this? And then if they know you're doing the work, like they'll usually answer, and then eventually
Right.
met all of them in real life at a conference, and then it really starts to mesh, and then it's kind of like game over from there.
Right. Nice. Yeah. Man, that's strange because when I was first starting to install on Amazon, I also encountered a Reezy Resell video, but his was that shoe where he's like his like thumbnail is him in front of all those shoes on that table. You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about? I never saw his book one. I guess I missed that one, but that's when the first time I saw all the Nike shoes. Like I said, I was already reselling shoes, but it was more so like hype kind of Jordans and stuff like that. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, like I know all these shoes, and that's kind of where I kind of meandered my way in through selling shoes on Amazon. Um, I want to say like Reezy Resells had a lot of impact on various different sellers
100%.
because a lot of times I'm watching interviews, it always gets mentioned as a Reezy Resell video, and it's interesting that he had a books video that impacted you, whereas for
Yeah.
myself it was a shoes one.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I think I'm pretty sure he started with books and then he
okay,
went to bulk. And then eventually he was like, yeah, I don't want to do bulk. And
gotcha.
then I don't know if he was doing, I'm not really sure, 100% sure, but like, yeah, he definitely ditched books and then was doing, I think, like all RA
So
and
I was
some
trying
OA.
to because when I was in college, I kind of knew what the in-demand books were, and I kind of came on also selling books, not to that extent that you did. I would find books on eBay, used books. I wouldn't do this now just because the whole invoice thing. But little that I
Yeah,
knew earlier on, then I would just find these used books that I knew were in demand in the semesters that I've taken college, and I would just buy them and send them off. But going to the actual thrift store, or like the bookstores, I was always thinking about doing. I never did. I was trying to do. Technically, I was trying to do OA, but just books. I don't know
yeah.
if that's even possible. I know there's that one. There's a one store that I did buy some and sell on Amazon, but I don't think you can really OA books. Can you?
There's this person I met, Joji Davenport.
Uh,
He's doing a lot of he'll buy off of Amazon when
yeah.
it's like way down, and then
Right.
he'll
Right.
sell. So he does pretty well for himself
But outside of
doing that.
A2A, and outside of A2A and outside of eBay, Is it a thing? Like, is there some stores that'll have like, I don't know. I
Oh
guess
no.
they have to be used, probably, perhaps.
I feel like all the big textbook players are on Amazon. I mean, they're probably on
Yeah,
other things as well.
yeah, true.
Textbooks just get messy though.
Yeah,
It's almost like you wouldn't buy like Nike from like probably like
right, right,
joeschmo.com because you're like, ooh, if I need an invoice for this, like it's not gonna be good. And there's so
right.
much counterfeit like
The
textbooks
book.
that are
Oh
like,
man, that's
oof, I
crazy.
got like sued by a textbook company. Like it's there's so much that you really have to be like legit going through them.
I feel like with the birth of Amazon also birthed so many counterfeits in various markets that you wouldn't
Yeah.
even expect. Like I was telling, I think Jonathan in the last interview that I was getting like these counterfeit claims on beauty products. And I was like, what the hell? Like I didn't know that was a thing. I thought it was just always like shoes and like I said, just
That
there's
was
too much.
my initial reaction with the textbooks. Like, people make counterfeits of textbooks, and
Yeah,
like Caleb was like, "Yeah, dude. Like, if you could sell, like, if you make it for like $20 and sell it for 250, like, I was like, oh yeah, I guess
yeah,
you're right. Like, I never
yeah.
thought of it that way.
Especially books. Like I said, like they can go for fucking $200, and if you can make a counterfeit, try to sell for $100, someone's gonna buy it, and you probably took you like $20 to make it.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so kind of following on with starting to sell, do you believe? Because I know there's probably a lot of new sellers watching this. Do you believe someone can start selling on Amazon FBA with $1,000? And if so, in what kind of route would you guide them towards?
Oh, for 1,000 bucks, I think you can. I'd probably say I would use that. So if it was me, if you're like you have $1,000, I would just do Facebook Marketplace.
Mhm,
I'd buy and sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace, turn that $1,000 into like 5 grand, and then
mhm,
probably start for OA. I used to be like, oh yeah, like you could do books and you could just do that route. And while
mhm,
I think that's viable, if you don't want to do books long term, like I don't think you should start there. I mean, it's a
mhm,
good idea to like get your like feet wet and kind of getting it, but I
mhm,
kind of like the idea of starting with Facebook Marketplace because it's like you don't even know if you're gonna like this. Like as soon as
right.
I sold the first piece of furniture, I was like, "This is amazing! Like, what else can I do?"
Yeah,
Like, just probably some other people were like that's fine. Like, I don't want to do it again. Like, I wanted to find like a bazillion things. So
yeah.
I feel like you
It's
want to just
addicting.
test it first because like to set up an Amazon account and like a
Right.
store and like all the stuff and like if you don't even like the idea of like flipping it, like I do
Mhm,
think it's going to be like a harder go for you. I do
mhm,
think, yeah, you could do books with 1,000. Oh, it would be super tough. It would take you like almost forever. I mean,
yeah.
eventually you would like get it back and flip it. You'd have to like flip quick stuff, but ideally, I would say like 5 grand would be like you don't
5 grand.
have to start like that, but in an ideal world, like
Mhm,
get some software and like really like do it right. I think that would probably be ideal.
right.
And the idea of just kind of like Facebook Marketplace is the same thing. Like, you're learning like the same concept or like
True.
so I think that it could be a really good thing and you get hooked. And I think like building it's all about momentum. And I
Mhm,
think like if you could build momentum and like kind of build up cash, it gives you a bigger cushion to kind of, have some things that will not go right just because like you're starting. It doesn't
mhm,
hurt as much. If you only have 1,000, and Amazon loses it or whatever, like that's
yeah,
tough. Like now you
yeah,
gotta start over. But if they lose 1,000 out of the 5,000, like, well, you still have like 4 grand to play with. Like it
right,
sucks, but like, you now have $4,000 to kind of like keep going.
right. Yeah, I guess with Facebook Marketplace, you don't have to really worry about returns or anything, right? It's kind of you're
Yeah,
gonna
there
make the
are no
money.
fees.
They're gonna say
It's
no.
straight up cash.
Yeah.
Like there's really, yeah, no returns. So it's like,
I
and you
will
just
say,
list it and it doesn't sell, like you donate it. Like it's no
yeah.
big deal.
Yeah, I will say I think it also depends on like people's mindset. I think if you're coming in thinking I'm going to scale in a couple months, it's probably
Yeah.
not going to be likely. But like if you're, I don't know, like 19, 18, you don't have too much money, you got $1,000, you want to just kind of slowly make that compound, and you want to try Amazon, sure. Obviously this might be the best time during Q4 where you can find a lot of things on sale and really make your money
Yeah.
compound. I would say I think if you can do that along with building your credit and then kind of learn about obtaining credit, that could work. But as far as I agree with you, as far as just being able to scale from 0 to 100 in like 2 months, probably not likely. And I think a lot of people get tricked almost into thinking that can be, but in reality, it's going to take you a while, especially with $1,000. Even someone with $5,000 takes them a while, you know. So
yeah, that's it's a like building game. Like, I mean, I feel like I thought like when I was doing books, I never understood why like everyone's like, oh, I have no money for inventory. Like, what are you talking about? Like, because I was spending like $4,000 a month, like just on books. Now, like we're trying to spend like $2,000 a day. Like, you know what I mean? It's like totally different.
Gotcha. Okay, so speaking of like the different kind of business models that you're discussing, what is the most, I guess, primary business model that you do right now, and is there other kind of models that you're looking into doing?
So right now I'm doing online arbitrage. So
100%?
what'd you say?
The 100% OA?
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
online arbitrage. Pretty much OA to prep. I am prepping a little bit more myself. We moved, we have more space. It's basically just like quick stuff. I was like when I always had like this theory that like I'd like to kind of be like sending to both like coasts. So like the West Coast, the prep center is at, and East Coast like is where I am. So I
Interesting.
like to get like there's definitely quicker check-in times in over here. So like if I just had to put like a label on something, like we're not building like bundles and all this crazy stuff or like big fit, like we're not doing any of that. It's just like put a label on it, like not a big deal. I'll do that myself. But yeah, it's pretty much all online arbitrage.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I did you start with RA or did you? Oh, I guess you kind of already went through it. I was gonna say I started with RA a little bit.
Mm,
I think overall just learning to prep initially is the way to go. But now, like I
yeah,
told you, I will FPM some units just so I can get it for the best selling price. But same with me, I just send everything to the prep. It's tax-free state that you're sending it to, I'd imagine, right?
yeah. I don't think anyone should work with a prep center actually until like you're doing like 10 or 20
Right.
K in sales, maybe even 30. Just
Mhm.
because like if you don't know how to prep, like you're not gonna know if they're screwing it up. Like it's gonna be super out. You're gonna get screwed over by a prep center because like there's always people out there who like DM me like, oh, I'm paying like $3 a unit. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Like yeah, it seemed like reasonable. You're like,
Yeah.
no. And then it's like, well, I never did it myself. And no, you got to learn the whole like game, like straight up and straight out. And like, if you don't want to do that, like you probably shouldn't play the game.
Right. And it's also good to do it first on your own, just so you can appreciate the prep center and how much time
Oh, for
you're
sure.
saving. Like I give them so much grace. If something happens, it's like it's all right. Just we'll work through it. Because
Yeah,
when I first started, my mindset was always like get something shipped out every single day. Like I would order something. If I'm ordering something every single day, at some point I'm going to be receiving something at the door every single day. So I should have no excuses to ship it out to UPS, even if it's like 5 units, 10 units, just get it out. I think if
yeah,
you let that sit after a few days and you look at that pile, it gets, for me, like it would get really stressful. So I was like, as soon as I get home, just send that bad boy out. And then once you do it every day and you realize how, time consuming it can be and just stressful just looking at it, then when you get a prep center, you can really appreciate that prep center.
for sure.
So I wanted to ask you, so to reach your 50,000 to 100,000 monthly sales, what would you say, if you had to pin it down to three, what would you say is your three most important systems or methods that you have or have had in place to reach those milestones?
So it's really changed over time. My business looks totally different from when I first started. It was mostly like apparel. I never really did any shoes, but now I don't even think like 2% of it's apparel. It's just
Wow.
all over the place. We're always looking for, or I am rather, to like, I think I kind of found the category that I kind of think I want to build out the most. Like, it just makes the most sense. Still like testing it out. But for me, it's sourcing every day. So
Okay.
I personally source every day
Mhm.
for at least like 2 or 3 hours.
Mhm.
It just really depends on like what's going on, like whether it's Keepa or it's sales or it's I don't know, whatever. So that's one.
Mhm.
Two, I try. I pretty much do make it. I try to send someone else a lead every day.
Oh wow.
Um,
Nice.
yeah, so I share mainly with one other person right now, but
Mhm.
I'm still like trying to send like someone else just as like it has to be someone like I trust and know.
Mhm.
Because I've definitely been on the other end where you send it and then your store gets like ransacked. And that's just never a good situation to be in.
Right. Right.
Because once they have your store forever. Um, so I do that, and then I think three. I don't know. I think just I don't know. You just gotta go. I think that searching every day is just like the key,
Mhm.
and kind of knowing. Everyone talks about like knowing like a certain category, and while I think that's great, I think it's super more. It's even more valuable to know how to search a store. So,
Yeah.
like, if you
Okay.
know that stores sit, like, for example, like, let's just take Walmart, right? It's
Mhm.
like if you know that might be a bad example because they're not running like crazy promo codes and stuff like that. But
Uh,
if you know like that they're gonna run a 20% off sale on electronics in this month, and then it's going to be 20% clothing like next month. Like as soon as you know that predictability, you know
mhm.
Walmart doesn't cancel. They're not going to like order like pretty much limit you on what you can order. Like it's
Right.
going to be pretty smooth sailing. Like that's a good store to like know how to source, and
Mhm.
like if you can master like 3 or 4 different categories. Now,
Mhm.
if you lose that store, like that could be devastating. Like when I
Yeah.
lost Kohl's, it was pretty devastating.
Yeah.
But you know, if you, I at this point probably have like 4 or 5 of those stores that I could kind of like rotate through.
Mhm.
It just makes it like that much easier once you just kind of know the pattern. So I think
Mhm.
it's really learning like websites and kind of these sales patterns.
That's a really good point, actually. Yeah, and you kind of learn these stores without even realizing it, you know. And it gets to a point where some stores, when I know that they have like big 20% off, 30% off times during the month, even if I see a good deal on that side, I'm like, I'm just gonna wait because I know when they're gonna have that sale. I think that kind of gives you the competitive edge in someone else because they probably went ahead and bought it during that sale, but you're gonna get it for a cheaper price because you're gonna wait for that sale on top of their monthly sale, you know. And I think
Exactly.
that comes with time. That comes with just sourcing, like you said, every single day and seeing prices on websites versus when you see them on their sale day, and also getting on the email list. You know, they'll send you all those
Yeah, for
information
sure.
and
Yeah,
uh,
there's nothing worse going deep on something and then like next week it goes on sale. You're
yeah, I think you're
like, this is
cold.
such a bad situation because like you already bought enough, like where it makes doesn't make sense to buy more, and you're
Yeah,
like, this price is definitely going down because people are getting it like 20% cheaper now.
right. I was gonna say your Kohl's is kind of like my Hibbit too. Like I was when I first started, I was buying a
Oh, if it
lot
was
from
so
Hibbit.
good. Oh my
Hibbit
god.
was great, and then they just I don't know they banned me, and I they let me appeal it too, and I try to give them like just this sob story, like you know what they tell me to do. Boom, denied. Still, I was like, God dang.
Yeah,
Uh,
they had like that with like cold on steroids.
yes. So Kohl's, did they pull your Kohl's cash and everything? Did you have a lot of Kohl's cash?
Yeah, like I think there was like 15 or $1,500 worth.
Have you tried making another account? They just ban your billing address.
I think I had like 2 accounts initially. Like I
Uh,
must have bought something there like who knows, like before this even started. And
uh,
then when I opened another, I guess when I started reselling, I use like the email address I've been using for like the business or whatever,
uh,
like just a Gmail.
uh,
I used that account, and then recently I was just like, oh, I wonder if that other account works. I've only placed like one order. It went through, but I don't really sell that much apparel anymore, so
gotcha.
it's kind
Gotcha.
of like one of those things. It was like a blessing in disguise for
Right.
me because it's like I just don't like the apparel
Yeah.
kind of space.
I hear you. No, no, I was gonna say that too. It was a blessing in disguise for me as well because I got banned on Hibbit and Nike and Champs. Like I said, I
Damn.
was really comfortable with shoes, so I came in. I was just buying all these like shoes that were just sitting that I already knew about that were selling for like at least 30% ROI, and they were like these hype shoes. But I kept buying so much that they kind of banned my billing address. Like I would make another account, still banned because it was my billing address, and I couldn't, I couldn't change my. I could like back in the day, I would just change the address number to like
Yeah.
same street but make another apartment number, but still ship to my house. But I couldn't do that now with Amazon because the billing address has to match exactly.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I'm glad we share that kind of same band kind of story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
speaking
it's always hard too, because like I think like a lot of people don't realize that it's like, oh well, like just switch categories. It's like, well, yeah, I just spent like the last year and a half like basically mastering this, and then like you got to do the whole thing all over again.
right.
Like I don't know like anything about beauty or health and
Yeah.
like you just have to relearn everything.
You have to leave, what's nice is, I guess, no matter what category you have to start like restart in, you get automatically ungated for a lot of these categories.
Yeah,
So
that's definitely
that's nice at least. Because I realized that when I got banned pretty much on apparel, I jumped over to beauty and stuff like that, and health and households, and I found that I was getting unbanned, or not unbanned, ungated, just automatic approval. So that helps a little bit. But I agree with you. It was a blessing disguised for me as well. So speaking of that, what I might know the answer to the second one, but what is your favorite category to sell currently, and what is your least favorite, and why?
my favorite is probably I would say probably it's getting towards beauty. I used to not like beauty because things would get returned or like all of a sudden like the listing would get deleted. That was
That's
before I knew that like there were duplicate listings and like generic. Like I didn't
yeah,
know that prior.
yeah,
I think
right,
that's like could be hard and somewhat devastating. It's like I made a YouTube video about this the other day. It's like sometimes like you have the right idea, you're just not executing it correctly. And that was
mhm,
exactly what was happening with beauty. Like I had the right idea. It's a good category.
mhm,
It's just I was buying the wrong brands. I was like shopping the sales. Everyone else was like
mhm,
I was just doing it wrong.
right.
So that's become what I miss most about apparel. Well, I'll say that that's my least favorite category, just because returns, lots of
Beauty,
competition there.
beauty released.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
wow,
beauty's my favorite.
favorite.
Becoming one of my favorite.
Okay,
Apparel is my least favorite.
I hear you.
The one thing I liked about apparel, it was like you could buy different sizes, different colors. So it
Right.
makes sourcing so much easier because like one item, like it's like finding 10 because of
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the
One listing, a
variation.
bunch of listings. Yeah,
So
yeah,
I kind of like that about beauty because, like, if you find beauty, there can be different shades. Stuff can be bundled. There's a
right.
little bit like different leeway there.
Mhm,
Um, and cancels don't seem to be too bad. I mean, I'm a wider store
mhm,
than I am deeper, so
mhm.
it's not too bad.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think also with beauty, it's more susceptible to IP complaints and whatnot.
True.
When I first started selling beauty, I liked it a lot because they're high ticket items and you can prep them really quickly.
They're
That's why
small.
that's why I started kind of leading my way towards beauty. But then I think I got my first suspected IP complaint with beauty, and I was like, oh shit, but it was because the whole generic brand, like it was automatic bought pretty much by Amazon saying, hey, why is this generic brand have like a Mac product,
Yeah, and
um,
every once in a while, there's like, oh, there's this like banned ingredient. You're like,
yeah,
what? And
yeah.
it's like deleted. You're like,
But the new seller will just not realize, because a lot of Amazon's kind of is crazy, but they have methods to it. But if you're a new seller, you're just like, oh snap, I got a suspected IP complaint. This is horrible. I'm gonna get shut down. And but you
yeah, it
learn
used to
through it.
consume my whole day. Now I'm just like, yeah, I'll deal with that later. Like it's
Yeah,
not a big deal.
yeah. So when you are sourcing, what kind of softwares and extensions do you use, and which one do you think are more important than another one?
So I'm using Keepa and Celerip mainly
Okay.
every day.
Mhm.
Those are probably the only two you really need.
Okay.
And then inventory labs, obviously, to kind of track numbers. The prep center uses that to list. So those are pretty much the top three
Okay.
for me. And I've been doing a lot of like almost just Keepa, like product finder stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and just kind of doing a combination. Like there's just so many different searches you could do in Keepa. I've
Yeah.
really just been like trying to learn more about that,
Mhm.
and doing a lot of manual
Yeah.
reverse sourcing. I don't really do as much
Yeah.
anymore.
I think reverse sourcing for me, I don't you do as much, but I always end up doing a little bit from Keep a Product Finder. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's kind of going off you. Yeah, I've been kind of getting deeper and deeper with Keep a Product Finder, and I notice myself just once you find the perfect keeper graph, is you kind of reverse engineering what you used to do, right? When you
yeah.
reverse source, you're looking for the good keep a graph where you're keep a product finder, you're creating that keep a graph. Now you can go backwards. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I don't really reverse source either, but I will still use it when the time comes, you know?
Yeah, I'll definitely reverse source. Like, if it's a product where like I was like, damn, like it was like hard to find one. Two, you really had to like use
Know
some
your shit.
promo, like you had to know some stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, this person definitely has some of that other stuff. So like
Yeah.
I'll like kind of go through their store, but like not like generic, like just go to like a great value or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Like when you find something that's foreign to you and you go and
Yeah.
you find those sellers on there, well, it's foreign to you, but you go on their site or their store and it's like all the similar kind of stuff. You
That
gotta look at
happened
that.
today. I was just like, ooh. And then like I just got like 5 or 6 things, and I was like, it just happened like the sale just coincided. And
Yeah.
I like just recently figured something out about the site, and I was like, damn, like that's how it's. And then I was just like, all right, like game on. Like this person obviously knows this too, so it's time to.
Yeah. Do you keep tabs of stores? I used to, but then I've kind of just stopped doing it. I think it's out of laziness, but I probably should do that still. How about yourself?
Every once in a while, like so, I
Yeah.
do have like a list of storefronts. I'm
Mhm.
more likely just to be like, what's everyone else up to, just kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like, obviously, I know whose storefronts they are.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
There you go.
so I kind of like pretty much know. I
Mhm.
never really, I'm not a big fan of like going through like some of your friendlies with store and like trashing it because like I don't
Oh
know, it's
yeah.
just not right.
Right.
But there is definitely some stores. I mainly use it for ideas.
Okay.
So like there'll be some stuff where I'm like, usually what I'll do it is it's like if I'm happen to be reverse sourcing with someone's store and they're close on a lot of stuff, I'm like,
Mhm.
I just must have missed the sale. So I'll just like put it down there and then put it in the sheet and then like kind of check it back. But I'm just
Mhm.
more looking for ideas and more brands. Like what brands are they selling? Not
Mhm.
necessarily like what are they selling? Because usually you're like probably like 1 to 2 weeks late by the time like, if you're seeing it, like, in their store, like, probably
Mhm.
everyone else is, and then it's like,
True.
"Why did this tank?" It's like,
Yeah.
well, because 'cause we're all, like, 4 weeks late now.
Yeah. And kind of the reason I will FBM some things is because if it's from a big box site too, I'm like, I know if I
Yeah.
buy this into the prep center, it's gonna tank. Like there's no way around it. So I those times as well, I will FBM. Do you keep a running list of all your leads that you source?
Yeah, I have so many spreadsheets. So I
Oh,
have
that's really
everything I've
imperative. I think it's very
everything I've bought. So every single order, like, line by line, like, all that data.
like with
I
the
have, like,
seller
a
map Google Sheet.
master. Yeah, I have a master buy sheet, which
There you
is
go.
like just individual. So like every just ASIN doesn't like not all the orders. I have an out of stock sheet. I have a
Okay.
sheet for Christmas, like might be good during Christmas. And I have another sheet. It's like if I could get this on sale, like I'll
Uh-huh.
just put in the notes in Seller Amp. It's like if I could get this 30% off, like this makes sense.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
because what happens is it's like you go to a site, you're like, oh man, this is so close. And then that site runs a sale. You're like, oh, what was that like? It's like so far
Yeah.
like behind.
You don't
That
remember. Yeah.
happened recently where I'm just like, it's so annoying because it's like, oh, it's kind of a lot of work to grab the link and all. But today it happened, and it was the first time I was like, wow, like I was able to just buy like 5 to 8 ASINs that I looked at like 3 months ago
Mhm.
and I would have never been able to like kind of find them as quickly or
Right.
no, because like sometimes like they'll rank just like or it goes out of stock or whatever
Mhm.
happens. It's like boom. And then you have this huge advantage because like if you're going to the site, like I already have 8 things to buy.
Mhm.
Right. If you even find like 4 of the 8 that I bought, like I'm already like it's already getting shipped to me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's
Right.
already so like it creates a huge advantage. It's super annoying but it's definitely about like data and I love to capture. I think I capture like 20 or 30 fields in seller amp where it's like it's the brand, it's the how many sales, it's the price, the average, like because I just want to be able to sort. Like it's like, oh, Walmart's having like a sale on Sony. It's like where are all the Sony things? Like let's just sort by brand
There you
and
go.
like start clicking. Are they still
Mhm.
profitable? Are they not? And then
Mhm.
it's just like an easy starting point The worst thing to do is have like a sheet full of just almost like links because it's
Yeah,
not really. I mean, I guess you could sort by Walmart, but like
that's what I do.
you wouldn't know the brand though. So like
Yeah.
if you and plus like I don't see it more work. If I had to do the spreadsheet myself, it'd be annoying. But like since I just add another column with seller amp and it was like capture the brand, and then
Yeah.
it's like no big deal.
So SolarAmp has another extra field for the brand.
Yeah, you could
Oh,
pull.
I don't know.
Oh my god, there's so many stuff you could
I can't
pull.
see that. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
you go. You use
I
the
have what
Google
you're
Sheet
discussing. I have.
export.
What was that?
Do you use the Google Sheets export?
Yeah, that's all it is export. I guess I never noticed that you could add a field for the brand.
Let's see. Uh,
Because I have what you were saying. I have just a bunch, like I don't know, like 12 months of just leads that I've exported from SellerAmp Google Sheet function that I bought. Only the ones I bought. So I have it all dated. So I just filter if it's on Walgreens or on Target. I'll filter and I'll just go back in that way, and I'll put a note down that maybe the price is tanked, and I'll check that one like a month later, see if it's still tanked or if it's profitable again.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so if you go to the Sheets
Mhm.
thing and you go to setup,
Uh-huh.
and then you like click your whatever spreadsheet it is,
Okay.
on the right it says like field mapping. So like I have this is the out of stock sheet. So I have like product name, ASIN, Amazon URL, source URL, cost price, sale price, profit, ROI, break even, estimated sales, brand,
Brand. Okay.
FBA seller
Maybe I
count.
do have it. Maybe I didn't look at it. I might have that brand in there. I don't know why I
See
wouldn't.
what's on my page. Yeah, because I just like it's like why like if I could capture all that data, do
Mm,
I use all of it? No, but it's like in certain situations, like it makes a lot of sense. And it's like, yeah, if I had to like do it manually, like
right.
I wouldn't do it. But like if Seller Amp's just gonna automatically pull it in, it's like why not?
Gotcha. Okay. So what you were saying is if you can you go through, like, let's say Walmart had some Sony, I don't know, Sony camera on sale. Now that you have everything organized on the brand, what would you do when you saw that?
So I'd go to like my master sheet and then
Mhm.
I would just like sort the spreadsheet. I would just do an alphabetical order
Mhm.
and then find Sony.
Mhm.
And if like so that's the nice part. Like if you capture the brand, like it
Mhm.
doesn't just have to be from Walmart. It could
Right.
be any Sony product that like I've sourced in the past. And it's like, well, is that at Walmart? So what I would do is I'd sort by Sony and then I would go to the Amazon listing before I
Mhm.
even went to like Walmart and see
Mhm.
if it even makes sense. Like a lot of times like the product's tanked or like
Mhm.
there's like, yeah, this even if it's a little cheaper, like it's still not going to work for what I'm trying to do.
Mhm.
And then if it does look good, then I'll like see if Walmart has it or
Gotcha.
what the deal is. It's all about just like trying to be like most effective
Right.
and like go go quick, but like go slow at the same time.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So, in your journey to the amount of sales you do now, can you give me a time in during that journey that was the most stressful? Maybe it was like an IP complaint that you couldn't get off. Maybe it was some sort of complaint from a customer, something of that nature.
Uh, the most frustrating. There's been a lot of frustration. Um, Probably, I would say getting banned from Kohl's. That was
Mhm.
probably one
Yeah.
of the toughest because I was just like cruising along. I was coming off like 120K a month. I
Mhm.
was like, this is great. Like, this is the category. And then, like, I just wasn't prepared because, like, I was so apparel heavy. I had it like down to a
Right.
science. And it was just like, whatever. When this stuff goes on sale, just spend like 10, 20, 30 grand and like you're good for the
Mhm.
month. And yeah, so just being able to overcome that and really just biting the bullet and just totally rebuilding the whole business. Like basically like,
Mhm.
you know what, we're gonna stop, we're gonna pause, like we're gonna find those next couple categories and just like be cool with doing like, 30, 40K a month until like we have that category that we want. And
Mhm.
now like it's been progressively going up and hopefully
Nice.
we'll do like close to 80
Nice.
70, 80 this month, and then we'll be back to like 100K months. But it took like a solid like 6 months to kind of get here. and it's
Right.
such a stronger business. It's more profitable, less returns.
And you're diversified pretty much. It forced you to
Yeah,
diversify.
yeah,
Right.
diversified.
Yeah.
And that just takes time instead of just kind of throwing more money into, and just like being kind of in the community.
Mhm.
And I try not to consume a lot of content.
Mhm.
I do consume, but like not like just like being on Twitter or like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like it's just whatever, it is what it is. But knowing kind of what other people are talking about, I try to avoid, like, everyone's like, oh, like, shop the Nike sale. Like, I'm not shopping the Nike sale. Like, so
Yeah.
just kind of
Yeah.
knowing what everyone else is talking about and kind of like driving people towards is always
Yeah.
like important. Or like, I'm in like a couple like lead discords or whatever,
Mhm.
because I just want to see what they're putting in there
Nice.
to not buy it. Or they're like, oh, hey, everyone, like, there's a big sale here. Like, okay, like, noted, like, not shopping that.
Not going
I
over
mean,
there.
obviously, it depends on the group and how many people are in it, but like,
Yeah.
just to have that idea, or it's like, ooh, like, you should like just put the repricer at like 10% ROI, because like, let's just
Right.
get out like before this gets like worse. Like, I did that on one thing lately where it was just like, I was planning on making like 30 or 40 in ASIN,
Uh-huh.
and like the offer count like tripled. It definitely hit a couple of leads list.
Uh-huh.
I just like ended up taking like a $5 profit on all of
Yeah.
them, and just like, goodbye until the
Yeah.
next time. Like, I'm not gonna sit on like 5 or 7K product like to see if this plays out correctly.
So the most stressful time for you was getting banned on Kohl's, and then kind of on that's kind of on a macro level, like because you're still doing pretty well. Looks like sounds like
Yeah,
you're content with doing 30 to 40K, and then while you were content making that, your ultimate goal was to find something new to get you back up to that 80,
yeah,
90, 100K, which is great because I think a lot of new sellers on a micro level they get stumped. Just I know a few people that'll just say they've been sourcing for like a week, they can't find anything, but there you are with a huge, roadblock during your journey. You were able to tumble through it.
yeah.
That's awesome. So for the new Amazon seller, what would you say would be the most effective way for them to reach just that 10 to 15K per month?
I would say just source daily. I mean, I feel like that's what it comes down to. There really aren't that many secrets. Like, the big secrets is like, do the boring work, like what Alex Hormozy would say, source
Mhm.
daily. Um, Try not to get like sucked into like the hype of like buying deep, and
Yeah.
there's like some stuff that like just play your own game. Like, you don't have to do, hell, like there are some people, I mean, who just want to do like 10K or
Yes.
20K, because that's going to get you an extra, depending on what you're doing, like 3 or 4K in
Yeah.
your pocket. Like, times that by 12, it's
Right.
like 36 grand. Like,
Not
put
everyone
it
wants
in
to scale.
retirement, or you want
Yeah.
to go on vacation, or
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever the hell you want to do. I know
Right.
people are just doing that for like their kids are college.
Right.
They're banking like the yearly tuition every year. So
Right.
like, just really depends on what you want to do, and just like play your own game and just try not to get like that FOMO.
Yeah, yeah. Joining the community on Instagram and Twitter is great to get motivated, but it can also demotivate you from seeing other
Yeah,
people
for
and
sure.
you're constantly comparing. Yeah, like some people are just content. You're right, just making an extra $500,000 a month, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's hard when you're on in the community and you start seeing
Yeah.
people's sales that it starts becoming not the goal, and
Well,
that's
it is funny too, because like you don't really see the drop off. Like,
yeah.
there's so many people I know who quit that like
Oh
are in
yeah,
like
true.
some major credit
Yeah.
card debt,
Oh,
but like no one
wow.
sees that. Like, it's just like, but they were like, yeah, buying all this stuff, like, and then they're gone, and like a lot of people thought they were like doing a good job, but they weren't.
Interesting. Okay. So speaking of which, what is your take on because a lot of new sellers do message me and ask me about like, hey, have you ever almost gotten your account deactivated and whatnot? What is your take on new sellers that are hesitant to start selling due to stories of account deactivations? And
Oh, I
what's
love
your
this
take on that?
topic.
Yeah.
So for me, I never think about it. So getting suspended, it's just like, there for me, there's no, like, why would I think about it?
Right.
Like, my stance is like, if it happens, it happens. I'm not over leveraged, so like I could pay my credit cards like if I had to. Like I have plenty of money like in reserves like for something like this if this were to happen. Like
Yeah.
I could survive like 6 to 8 months like without any income from the Amazon business. So like
Yeah.
I really don't worry about it. And I
Mhm.
think for a lot of these deactivations, there's like three sides to this story. It's
Right.
like what happened, what they think happened, what Amazon said
Mhm.
happened, and then like probably the person you hired, what the hell they have to say about it. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's like, it's always just like, I did this, but like I didn't really, it's like kind of breaking the rule, but like it's like, dude, like you
Yeah.
broke the
You're cutting
rule.
corners a little bit.
Like
Yeah.
there's nothing else to it, but like on service level, and you like hear a lot of that like when you go and like network in person and stuff. Like it's like,
Find
oh
out.
man, like how'd you like you got suspended, man? Like what happened? You're like, oh yeah, I did kind of like break the rule, but like it's like not out there, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh okay, like it makes sense.
And I think a lot of people are just kind of learning about selling on Amazon. They're kind of finding, I'm not going to say everyone's like this, but they're trying to giving themselves a reason not to start,
Oh for
Um,
sure, yeah,
that happens as well. And just not just Amazon. There's most businesses that you go into. There's always this like risk that you're going to take. Albeit Amazon's a little different because they'll take everything. If you invest in something, you can get most of it back if it plummets, whether that be real estate or the stock market or something like that. But there is risk in almost every business that you start up on. So, that's just one of the things. And I think Amazon's gotten a lot better about that as well.
yeah.
Um,
I
I'm
think
not
too, it's as you grow too, and I feel like the counterpoint, it's like you get fired
Yeah.
and lose everything.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, you
if
did.
your job is your only sole income, you get fired. Well, guess what? You just lost all your income.
Right, right. Yeah. Do you think how effective do you think that the insurance, what is it called? The seller's insurance that they give you if you have over 260 for X amount of time, over 6 months. Do you think that's effective?
I don't know. I haven't heard many people that are in the situation.
I don't
Or
see
like,
them doing anything differently though. Like if you're qualified, which I am, I'm sure you are. I don't see
yeah.
like when I get an IP complaint or something, there's nothing different. Like there's not like another like department that reaches out to me. I wonder
From
if
what
it's
I
just
understand, it's like if they're going to like deactivate your account.
uh,
I remember like when I first started, it used to be like you just wake up and like you couldn't get on your seller.
oh damn.
And
Okay.
like you could like you couldn't contact support. But I think this now they give you 24 hours to like talk
Got
to them, or I think it might be 48 hours to try to
it.
resolve it or work with them. And then I
Mhm.
guess if they think you're like taking the steps that they like deem necessary, then maybe they're like, all right, like we'll kind of let things like continue on. I mean, it's a nightmare like to think about, but like it's just like everything else, like with all these businesses, and then like
Mhm.
COVID happens, and like it destroys all these businesses. Like no one ever thought they would be like, yeah, you can't come in my restaurant,
Yeah.
right? It's like
True.
either
True,
figure
true.
out takeout or go out of business. And like you don't do takeout, like I
Mm.
worked in a lot. My dad owned a lot of restaurants. Like it's no easy feat to figure out like how to all of a sudden like deliver all this food and do all this stuff. Like you're paying rent, like
Right.
so you
Then
just kind
COVID
of have to
happens.
adapt.
You know, that can be equivalent to like a restaurant. COVID happens, a pandemic happens. You got to shut your business down.
Yeah.
Shit like that can't happen. So, um, yeah. Again, account deactivations. I do hear some horror stories, and some of them are legitimate. Some of them I know. I know someone recently, but I don't think it should deter you from starting to sell on Amazon. I think
I know like three people who recently happened to. They all got back on.
yeah, yeah. I
Um,
think you might be down for a while, but you eventually, if you didn't do any wrongdoings, you'll eventually get back on. So, no. So we're going into Q4. I wanted to ask you, how are you getting ready for Q4? And if there's any advice you'd give to a new seller who's selling to Q4 for the first time.
so for new seller, so what I'm doing, so the advice is much different. So if you've been selling for a while, I'm obviously going back through everything I bought the
Yep.
last two Q4s because that's just easy, low hanging fruit.
Yep.
I'm basically test buying throughout the year, like anything I buy. I consider a test buy for Q4 because like everything's going to be on sale in Q4. The prices for everything, even though it's your normal everyday kind of stuff. But there's stuff I'm selling now for like $10 cheaper that's profitable. But I know in Q4 I'll be making like $20 on this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's just like kind of staying in stock on that, and that's why when Q4 comes, like I'll hopefully get like that additional buy box share just from being on the listing. And yeah, I think that is kind of what I do. I don't really do like last year it was all apparel, so like I don't really have like a big game plan just yet in what I'm sourcing, but for the most part, it's just going to be everything like just sells quick. Like I do have like two categories I really like right now. Not usually do well, and they did really well last year. So I'm just going to kind of do that. I feel like if you're new, I'd almost just treat it as it sounds bad, but like my first Q4, like I chased all the bolos and like bought stuff that people said Amazon was going to go out of stock, and I lost a ton of money like doing that because like I didn't know better. Like I was running a book business, so I was just like kind of like going on other people's advice. So I'd almost be like source like normal and just like realize, just take notes, like hit the sales, like keep a list. Like I keep a list of like what sales happened last year. And try to like I'm a big fan of like sourcing before the sale happens. Like everyone's gonna be like, oh, like I don't know, let's just say Walmart's gonna do 50% off of everything, right? Not gonna happen. But if it did, like before that sale hits, like source like everything is 50% off. So when the sale goes on, like, you have your list of everything that's profitable. And while someone else is just going there and trying to figure that out, like you already have the list, like you're getting it before it goes out of stock, and like you're just like 10 steps ahead of people. So I would say like it's an exciting time. So one, like it's an exciting time. I started in Q4.
Great
I
time
still
to
have
start.
a business. Yeah, my first Q4. And then I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then like I was buying like it was Q4 in like February, and
Right.
there was like major drop off. So just realized that like it is going to drop off, and it's like
Right.
kind of totally normal. You're probably going to get a bunch of returns in like January, February ish. But it's a great time to do it. I was just kind of like try not to chase like the hypey stuff and like compete
Yeah.
against Amazon. I just kind
Yeah.
of just don't feel the need. I know a lot of people, like a lot of people are like, this is Q4, like mortgage, like spend it, like don't. If you're
Yeah.
new, like that is the absolute wrong move. Like
Yeah.
don't get in over your head because if
Agreed.
stuff doesn't work, like you're screwed.
Right. I do think just if you've been selling, source the ASIN that's already doing well for you. You know,
Yeah.
obviously demand's going to rise. The profit's also going to rise. I've been doing more just fall related kind of buys lately, kind of prepping for the fall rather than just Q4, like, you know, the pumpkin spice
Yeah.
stuff and some Halloween stuff. I don't do too much of the Halloween, just yeah, I can see it being really good. Just kind of a risk there. Whereas like pumpkin spice and fall decor stuff like that, you know, they're gonna buy it, they're gonna hold on to it.
Yeah,
I
they'll
will,
drink that stuff year round too, so it's like
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, but I will say apparel. I don't know. This could be a little. You can go both ways here, but I think apparel returns could drop a little bit because people are buying gifts. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. It could be uptick a little bit, but I know a lot of the shoes I was selling last Q4, like the price that I was selling those shoes are, there is no business someone buying some shoes for that price. But um, the price of those shoes go up during Q4, and I don't think a lot of them got returned in January. And also, in addition to that, I was going to ask you. I know a lot of people were saying last Q4 the shipping times are going to slow down. It didn't really slow down for me. I was just sending them like during the year
Yeah,
speed.
I didn't have any issues either.
Yeah, because I was
Um,
guessing about that. I would try to start. I was trying to FBM more when I told you I do not like FBMing outside of small things. But then like I'm checking the shipments I'm sending to the warehouse and they're checking fine. I'm just like, golly, you know.
yeah, especially if it's not like if it's just normal stuff, it's not like advent calendars or like stuff that's not going to sell after Christmas. Like it's going to get checked in eventually. Like
Yeah.
January is still like a big month for it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, you just want to make sure like too you want to start getting stuff in early. Like you don't want to be sending like December 10th. Like
Yeah.
you
No,
need
but I
stuff
will
there.
say the hype that people discuss during Q4, it is true as far as all your prices jump up because the demand all jumps up. But to align what you were saying, it's not going to be like that forever. Like you can look at the Keeper graph and see all those prices just plummet, not because people don't want to buy the product, they're just not enough demand for it. More actually, it goes back to the norm, if anything.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, so wanted to ask kind of got more personal spitfire questions here. What would be your number one advice for someone who's struggling their first few months on Amazon? Just kind of what would be like something quick that you would give to someone?
I'd say it's totally normal. Like anytime you start anything, like
Yeah.
it's tough, it's easy. Like I don't know if you're riding a bike, right? You fall down a bunch of times, like, but you don't stop. You keep going, and you're like you're going good, and then you fall down because you hit a bump or something. Like I think it's just totally normal, and like the more time you could put into it, obviously the better you're gonna get at it. So it's
Mm,
just you got to show up. Like if you keep showing up, like you're eventually gonna win.
right.
So I would just say, like, it's totally normal. Like anything you do for the first time, like it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be annoying because you don't know anything. But I mean, I think it's normal, but like just keep going.
Yeah. As long as you keep showing up every day, you'll get better. I think people come in thinking it's going to be like a 3 months. I'll make a bunch of money and, I'll
Yeah,
be smooth sailing. But it really takes at least 6 months, almost a year to kind of know what you're doing,
for sure. And I think like the first 3 months are kind of almost like it's probably the best it goes in a way because
Uh,
you're seeing like very quick wins, and
right.
then it's like you need capital to like keep that going and rolling, and you like start to get a return or like the ace intent, and then you're like,
Yeah.
ooh, okay,
Start
like
realizing
that
everything.
first month you're like, oh, this is amazing, and then like the shit hits the fan, and you're just like, yeah, like this isn't so easy, kind
Right.
of thing.
So what is a reoccurring mistake that you see new sellers often make?
Um, I think relying on replens. I think a
Okay.
lot of people are like going too heavy on the buys,
Mhm.
and not test buying. I mean, when you first start out, I mean, I almost think like you should buy like 5 or 10 of like things and like don't. I feel like anytime I try to predict something, like oh, like yeah, like the seller count's going up, but like I'm gonna get in before everyone else, or like these like little things, like not paying attention to data. Maybe that's
Yeah.
it. It's like
It's you're putting your emotion into it almost,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
exactly. Like you got to
Yeah.
suck emotions out of it and just be
Yeah.
like, no, it says the seller account's going up and the price is going down. Like this is most likely to continue.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm gonna watch this instead of buying it and just see
Yeah.
how it plays out. And
Yeah.
then next time, if it's like this and it plays out in my favor, then
Mm.
maybe I'll try it. But
Yeah.
most likely, most of those things where I'm like, it'll be
It probably
fine.
comes
Like,
true.
are
Yeah.
fine.
And that comes with experience, right? That comes with experience losing, probably losing money because back then you
Yeah,
probably did buy
thousands
it
of
just to test
dollars
it.
for
Yeah.
sure.
But after a while, then you start reading all these keeper graphs and meticulously looking at them. You'll be like, no, I know what happens. I know what happened last time. Just
Yeah.
trust the data, right? So do you believe in 2023 that selling on Amazon is still a lucrative business model?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's obviously one of the better models just because like they did all the hard work. Like you're basically just
Yes.
sourcing product. Like you don't have to hire like you don't have to like you don't have to ship out every order. Like you don't have to worry about processing a payment. Like
Mhm.
there's just so much that they took care of for you.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, it's just really a money game. Like money, you put $1 in, you get $1.50 back. You
Yep.
made 50 cents, and then just like it's kind of like rolling it or whatever your margins are going to be.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, you don't have to really. They built all the hard stuff for you. I mean,
Right.
there's so many softwares out there that make it so much easier now. I mean, and there's information. Like, geez, there's so much information out
Right.
there.
Yeah, I think so. I had a proxy business before this, and everything was incumbent upon ads and brand awareness, brand recognition, brand trust. And no one's going to buy your new developed thing until there's brand trust. And Amazon pretty much takes all that out, all the ads you have to spend, all that time you have to spend building trust. Because if you start a new business, you're going to spend you're just going to be spending for the first 3 months just to get people's trust. And I think unless you really start your own business, you won't appreciate the amount of work Amazon does for you, like you said. So
Yeah, Amazon's spending
yeah,
like hundreds of $1 millions on
yeah,
like commercials and
yeah,
influencers,
yeah,
like to say, hey, shop at
yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah, yeah, and it's Amazon's only growing, and people now, even older generations trust Amazon now. Like the demographic
Oh
of
yeah, for
Amazon
sure.
shoppers is insane, and people will pay a premium almost all the time to get their products from Amazon, even if it takes the same amount of days if they would have bought it on like Walmart, Kohl's, Target. They'll just
Yeah.
buy it on Amazon because
It's
it's
just
kind of wild.
easier.
It's
Like I
easy, but
literally just pick up my phone and it's like,
it's
and then
easier.
that's it.
But I would even argue that Walmart or whatever other platform can get it to their door, maybe even faster these days.
Walmart definitely can because
Yeah,
I've sourced some stuff and it's like you can get it same day sometimes, which is
yeah.
like crazy.
But so many people are so used to buying on Amazon, the older generation might not even know that you can go online to most of these stores. So, it's just there's just a competitive advantage for Amazon over their competition that it's a no-brainer starting to sell on Amazon. It's good. It's a good way to go. So personally for you, what are your future goals selling on Amazon as far as business models? Do you have like a number that you want to hit? Is there some other like ventures within the Amazon space that you want to do?
So for me, I just want to keep growing it. I think I want to like, I don't know what I'll cap it at. Probably like, want to probably do consistently like 100K months.
Mhm.
Um, and then figure out what I want to do like content wise. I mean, I do coach like selectively.
Okay.
Um, but I think I might want to start like another Discord or I
Mhm.
don't know what that looks like, but it's more like I want to get like kind of Amazon OA situated first.
Okay.
I don't want to have like 10 virtual assistant, like that's just kind
Yeah.
of not
Interesting.
direction I want to head. It's more
Uh-huh.
like I just kind of want to do like an OA to prep, maybe prep a little myself, but I don't know if I want to do like a private label or like any of that kind of stuff just yet. It's
About
like,
hosting.
uh, I thought about it, but I feel like a lot of so what I've come to realize is every model has its problems, and you just
Yeah.
have to figure out which problems you want to solve. So
Right.
for wholesale, everyone's like, "Oh, like you can buy as much as you want," but like, yeah, you got to give that person like $20,000 or $30,000 and
Yeah.
wait for like 3 or 4 weeks
Yeah. That lead time's
until they
crazy.
ship it, and then what? Another week or two before Amazon kind of gets it in there and does whatever.
For a
Um,
significantly low margin. Yeah. With competition.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's not everyone, but like just generally speaking. But like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think it's almost easier to pick a model and just like not switch it until like you get capped. And like, you're probably not going to get capped in OA, like, till you maybe hit.
What do you think? Yeah, because I think I saw someone post that 200K per month with OA is kind of your cap as far as at that point you have to outsource more to get farther up that $200,000 sales mark. What's your
Yeah,
take
for
on that?
sure. If you're gonna do like $3 or $4 million like a year, like you're definitely gonna need some help, like a virtual assistant
Yeah,
or just like tracking all that stuff.
yeah,
Like it's just a lot. I feel like most people have like somewhat of a hybrid where a lot of the sellers have like a couple like distributors, like their
yeah,
models like probably 80% OA, but it's
right,
like those like the other 20%, right? Like
yeah,
where it's just like pallets are being shipped and not just
right,
like individual boxes makes it like more doable. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, yeah, I don't really see a cap. I think it just like becomes, it's like, for me, it's like, oh, how much capital do I really want to put up every month?
cool,
Um, to like either do what I want to do. I just really enjoy helping other people, to be honest, and like getting on a call or like someone's like,
mhm,
oh, like someone DM me today. It's like, yeah, I'm doing like, I just did 25K this month, like because of all your videos and stuff like that.
that's awesome,
Like that's, I mean, that's just what I kind of like doing better.
cool, cool, yeah, I think I would like to get to 50-50, maybe even 80-20, like you said, OA, 80. I see a lot more benefits with OA than wholesale, but although I do understand that if you get to that 200K, 300K a month with OA, there's a lot of products, a lot of listings that are OA-able, but I will say there's probably a higher chance of getting canceled on sites when you're doing that many massive volume, you know? So, you know, you got to choose.
Yeah, pros and cons too, because you have to also look at like you miss out on like cash back if you're doing wholesale. Like
Yeah,
there's like
true.
lots of hidden benefits of
Yeah.
like kind of doing OA versus
And,
wholesale.
and generally speaking, you know, the returns are much better on OA. I think something that people don't realize too in wholesale, you still have to fight the competition. Like you could spend all that money up front because obviously it's going to require much more money up front. You got to wait that lead time. And once your listing finally gets active, you might have competition because the price could also tank in wholesale. And I think people that are so enamored by wholesale, I think they just think it's just golden everywhere. You know, like you get on a listing, you and two other people are the only one who control the buy box. I don't think it's, I don't do wholesale, so I don't know, but I don't think
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Well,
Like
I
that.
think you could be more scrappy with OA. Like so for OA, like anyone can really do OA. You just have to be searching, like you be on more sales, like wholesale, like there's going to be people who have like so much more money. You're competing with Amazon Lit.
Okay.
And watch me Amazon, you know what I mean? Like these
Yeah.
huge players.
Right. Okay. So, can you just kind of promo yourself, any coaching courses, what your socials are, where they can find you if they're watching you and really interested in the content that you're putting out, as well as all the, you know, the valuable tips and helpful hints that you've given throughout this interview?
Yeah, sure. You can find me on YouTube at Side Hustle Experiment, also Side Hustle Experiment on Instagram and Twitter. I do coach people, so if you want to work one on one with me, just shoot me a DM on Instagram, and we'll see if you're a good fit. But yeah, mostly I do a lot on YouTube and Instagram, and every Friday I go live with FBA Michaela. We kind of do like a live Q&A for people.
Yeah. Like alluding to what I said at the very beginning of this video, John posts really helpful information on Instagram every day. It really inspires me to push content out more. But if you're a new seller and just even a seasoned seller, like even things he says helps me out a lot too. So definitely hit him with the follow. I'll definitely tag his channel in the description below. If you want to find him, just click that link. You'll get there. Thank you everyone for viewing. John, thank you so much for coming on again. Till
Thanks
next
for
video.
having me.